Constitution. It doesn't mean anything to anything that today we live in a mental institution. 'Cause everything's crazy, crazy, crazy. They're doing away with borders. It's a new world. It's a new day. There's a new world order coming to your town. You better get ready. You better get ready. It's a new day. It's a new way. It's a new day.
Of men. The shadow knows.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Samsel Report. You are not going to believe what I got for you right here on Revolution Radio. Welcome, everybody, to the Samsel Report. Boy, oh boy, this is the weekend wrap-up, wherein we wrap up the previous week's headlines. Now, this show is coming to you live from beautiful Clearwater, Florida. Oh, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. The phone line is up, and the number to call in is 727-475-6138, because I want to hear from you. Okay? All right, so let's get this here show on the road. Oh, yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, our government is a cesspool of corruption. Our industrial might is a thing of the past. Oh, yes. And the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are being trashed by a treasonous, out-of-control government intent on enslaving the American people. Oh, yes, now I know it sounds just like some low-budget horror movie from the 1950s. That's right. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? We live in the Twilight Zone. Oh, yes, we do. You're traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance. You are bombarded by the conditioning illusion projected forth by corporate and government-controlled mass media. A world of mind-controlled automatons, unable to think or speak out or stand up for themselves. You're entering a world where everything is just the opposite of what you think it is. You are living in the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone. Oh, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Look out. Oh, yes. yes, our government is a cesspool of corruption. Our industrial might is a thing of the past, and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, well, they are being trashed by a treasonous, out-of-control government intent on enslaving the American people. Now, I know, it sounds just like some low-budget horror movie from the 1950s. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We live in the Twilight Zone. The mainstream media is a weapon being used to control and dumb down the American people. Even as they are raped financially, their rights and liberties trampled upon, and America destroyed by design. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. Boy, oh boy, I tell you what. And now, it's time for an important message, especially for you listeners out there. Oh, yes, because this program on Revolution Radio is listener-supported. And that means you, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this network and if you like this program, then please send us money. Now, we don't want a whole lot of money. We just want what you can afford. Oh, yes, that's it. So please help fund this broadcasting network. Oh, man, because let me tell you something. You need this broadcasting network. Revolution Radio is the voice of truth and freedom that you won't find anywhere else. So please help support informative, entertaining, fabulously original, innovative, cutting-edge, enlightening, mind-expanding, and awe-inspiring programs just like this one. Yes, it is the Samsel Report, and it is heard only on the Revolution Radio. So, send us money, okay? Will you do that? Okay? All right? Okay? All right? Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now look at the headlines from last week. Okay? All right. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Okay. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, our first headline. 12-term Congressman Ron Paul's warning to Americans about the coming currency crisis. Ron Paul was interviewed last week concerning the coming economic collapse. Now, rather than telling you what he had to say, I shall play for you the following clip. And you can make of it what you will. Here we go. Let's go to the clip.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Jared Kelly, here with 12-term Congressman, 3-time presidential candidate Ron Paul, with an urgent warning he's sharing exclusively right here for all Americans who are watching this, regardless of political party. Dr. Paul, it's an honor to have you with us, sir.
It's my pleasure, Jared.
Well, let's get right to it. You believe our country is on the cusp of a massive financial crisis. Just how bad are you predicting the crisis will be?
I think it's going to be very bad. I think it'll probably be worse than our Great Depression. I think it's going to be worse than the crisis that we had in 2008 and 2009. And I'm going to talk very specifically about the steps you should take to protect yourself. In short, I believe we as a nation are on the brink of a massive financial crisis. infinitely worse than the crisis of 2008. And that's because it won't be a banking and mortgage problem, but a full-blown currency crisis, the likes of which we've never experienced in this country. The savings of millions of people could be wiped out overnight. The stock market could crash by 50% or more. The way of life we've enjoyed as Americans for 50 years could come to an end. It's not a question of if this will happen, but when.
So why now? Why are you speaking out about this prediction today?
I'll tell you why, because most Americans don't have a clue about what's going on. Most people have no idea that in the past 6 years, we've created $4 trillion of new money out of thin air. At the same time, since 2006, we've doubled our national debt. I've said hundreds of times throughout my career in the House, prosperity cannot be created out of thin air by a central bank. The people running our country today are living in a fantasy world. And if you're not careful, you and millions of other everyday Americans will pay the price.
So, Dr. Paul, what do you think will be the biggest impact of this crisis?
Well, sooner than most people think, I predict we'll see people losing confidence in the U.S. dollar as a simple result of investors around the world realizing our currency is no longer the safe haven it once was. And you cannot restore confidence with more paper money. And when the currency collapses, nearly everything else goes with it. Stocks, bonds, commodities, you name it. When you destroy a currency, you can destroy the entire economy. You can destroy the whole nation. The middle class gets wiped out. The way you live, work, travel, and retire and invest in America, everything is going to change. Some of it in ways most people can't even imagine.
So essentially you're predicting the entire U.S. financial system will collapse. As someone who's spent 22 years in Congress, what do you think will be the immediate impact on the federal government?
Well, I'm fearful of a collapse, Jared. For one thing, it makes it a lot harder for our government to borrow money and pay interest on all the debt we've racked up, or to expand the welfare state, or to station the U.S. military in 140 countries. But forget the government. The real concern is what happens to everyday Americans, especially the middle class.
How so?
Well, for the everyday American, if the government's broke, all your wealth, all your savings will be put in jeopardy. We'll see massive changes in our retirement system and Social Security. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the government take over people's 401ks and IRAs.
Why is that?
Because doing that would essentially force people to buy worthless government bonds, whereas investors in the free market wouldn't touch them. In fact, I think we're likely to see huge tax increases and even a wealth tax, a fee on all your savings and valuable assets.
Can you explain further about what you mean by a wealth tax?
Absolutely. Anything is possible. It's only going to get worse. When this currency crisis hits, the government's number one priority will be to control the existing supply of capital. We'll see all kinds of new laws and rules about what you can do with your money, where you can put it, where you can move it. And of course, we'll see a massive inflation when all those trillions and trillions of newly printed dollars make their way into the economy. Because we can barely finance our debt right now. So you can imagine what it's going to be like when interest rates go up 0.5% or 1% or 2%, the ball game's over. It's going to be especially rough on seniors or anyone who relies on the government for income.
But isn't inflation, is that really the main worry? I mean, we've had inflation before, back in the 70s.
Well, for starters, it'll lead to a total breakdown of the stock market. Imagine 2008, Black Monday, and even the crash of 29 all happening in a single day. The middle class will be wiped out. But you're right, in a certain sense, what really worries me isn't necessarily a stock market crash. The real killer will be the effect of all this on our society and our liberties. But we have to have an understanding about how important personal liberty is because it is connected to our prosperity. We were the most prosperous country in the world, mainly because we had the most liberty. But now we've lost our liberty, and guess what? Our prosperity is being threatened.
You mean unemployment?
No, it goes deeper than that. When you destroy a nation's currency, you destroy businesses, you destroy friendships and families. Faith in money is critical to a free society. Without it, you can forget about businesses and commerce, and you can forget about any sense of normalcy. People won't have any clue what to do when there's a line around the block just to access the ATM, or when the banks start shutting down. They won't have any idea what to do when stores stop accepting dollars as payment, or when no one's willing to make a loan anymore.
So you're predicting social unrest.
Definitely. I think we'll see problems in the big cities especially. In fact, we're already seeing the beginnings of that. Ferguson, the riots in New York and Detroit. What it comes down to is that people are going to be very, very unhappy when they turn on the TV one morning and hear that their life savings is suddenly worth a fraction of its former value. If investors around the world lose confidence in the U.S. dollar, the prosperity we've enjoyed since World War II will essentially cease to exist.
Now you can put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay? All right? Okay? Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Ladies and gentlemen, our next headline. 6 Chinese nationals charged with stealing U.S. trade secrets. Oh, yes indeed, ladies and gentlemen. You heard right. That's the headline. Here's the story. 3 Chinese nationals who earned advanced degrees from the University of Southern California and 3 others have been charged with stealing wireless technology from a pair of U.S. companies. A 32-page indictment charging the 6 with economic espionage and trade secret theft was unsealed after Hao Zhang was arrested Saturday at Los Angeles International Airport after arriving from China to attend a scientific conference. 5 others are believed to be in China. Oh, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Our dear friends and business partners, the Chinese. Those cat and dog eating commies. Without China, international corporations wouldn't be raking in billions and billions of dollars in profits. We Americans wouldn't be able to go to Walmart and purchase cheap substandard junk made by slave labor. Boy, oh boy, let's stick that one in there where it belongs with the rest of them. Get on in there. Get on in there, you go. Man, oh man, boy, oh. And there you have it. There you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I tell you what, let's move on to our next headline. Here it comes. Are you ready for this? Los Angeles becomes the latest U.S. city to favor $15 an hour minimum wage. Oh yes, you heard right. Los Angeles, Associated Press. The Los Angeles City Council gave initial approval Tuesday to raising minimum pay in the nation's second-largest city to $15 an hour by 2020. Los Angeles would join Seattle and San Francisco as some of the largest cities in the nation with phased-in minimum wage laws that eventually require annual pay of about $31,200. Now, how do you like them apples, huh? Nationwide events last month called on McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and similar companies to pay workers at least $15 an hour. Many fast food workers currently earn close to the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Oh, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. That's just what we need. A $15 an hour minimum wage. After all, we just can't vote ourselves another pay raise, can we? We can't collect money for making dirty deals with foreign governments or crooked corporations. Oh no. What with dollar devaluation and rampant inflation, $15 an hour is just what the doctor ordered. In order to make do, $15 an hour ought to do the trick. But then, whoa, wait a minute. Won't that cause more inflation and dollar devaluation? When a Big Mac costs $7 or $8, when the price of everything goes through the roof, will $15 an hour be enough? Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Look out, ladies and gentlemen. Look out. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, put that in your pipe and smoke it, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, let's take a little break here. Check this out. Yes, it's Charlie Danger, private detective. Charlie Danger, defender of the Constitution. And now, Charlie Danger, private detective.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it today are more cunning, traitorous, and evil than ever. They got big wallets and big ideas and big plans, and they don't like anything or anyone that gets in their way. I ought to know. I'm Charlie Danger. It was a cold and windy day as I sat behind my desk in my cozy little office waiting for a phone to ring that lately hadn't been ringing enough. I sat staring blankly at the wall, listening to the sultry sound of the sax player down the hall practicing for his next weekend's gig. I was trying to decide if I should get up and fix myself yet another drink. Suddenly the door burst open and a beautiful blonde bombshell in a fancy evening dress that fit just right in just the right places strolled into the room. She stood there in her spiked heels looking utterly gorgeous and at the same time a little bit dangerous. I say dangerous because in her pretty little hand was a great big .38 caliber snub-nosed Smith & Wesson and the business end was pointing right at my ticker.
Yes, there are now 4 Charlie Danger adventures to choose from. Go to hiddenmysteries.com. That's hiddenmysteries.com. Oh, yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, you can go to hiddenmysteries.com where you can find all 4 of the Charlie Danger Private Detective mystery thrillers. Okay? All right. So, and you might also wish to check out Today's New Atlantis. Okay? All right. And you can find them all at hiddenmysteries.com. Okay? All right. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay? All right. Let's move on now with our look at last week's headlines. Our next headline: Senate blocks House surveillance bill. Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, look out. The Senate struggled unsuccessfully to prevent an interruption in critical government surveillance programs. Oh yes. The main stumbling block was a House-passed provision to end the National Security Agency's bulk collection of domestic phone records. Oh, yes, indeed. Instead, the records would remain with telephone companies subject to a case-by-case review. At issue is a section of the Patriot Act, Section 215, used by the government to justify secretly collecting information about nearly every American telephone call. Oh, yes. Since it gave the government extraordinary powers, Section 215 of the Patriot Act was designed to expire at midnight on May 31st, unless Congress renews it. If those were to go away, FBI Director James Comey said it would set back the Bureau at a time when domestic threats are on the rise. Well, the militarized police force won't go away, people. The Patriot Act, that which is anything but, is not going to go away. The surveillance won't go away. The DHS at the airports won't go away. It's all gonna get worse, ladies and gentlemen. America is on its way out, because that is what the criminals in Washington have signed on to. They'll never admit it, of course. They'll label all of us as conspiracy theorists. Oh, yes, they will. We are all crazy, and the criminals in Washington are looking out for our best interests. Oh, yes. What, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Wake the hell up, people. Oh, yes, indeed. Boy, oh boy. I tell you what, it's unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. Man, oh man, look at them. Look at that. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Totally unbelievable. So there you have it. There you go. There you have it. Our next headline. We got them all over the place tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going all over the place tonight, okay? All right? Our next headline. UN vehicles headed to stunning location inside the United States. Oh, yes, indeed. That's the headline. Here's the story. Recent activity in the state of Texas increases concern that there is some kind of a plan for the United Nations to take control of the United States. A Vietnam veteran, whose name is being withheld, recently videotaped 30 UN vehicles fully loaded with combat-prepared blue-helmeted troops driving through the Dallas area. Now, how do you like them apples? What do you think of that? Huh? 30 UN vehicles fully loaded with combat-prepared troops. Oh, yes. Are these United Nations troops preparing for economic collapse in America? Are they here to take control of our borders? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we are in trouble, okay? All right? Okay? I'll tell you what we do. Let's go to our next headline and check that one out, okay? Obama's trade bill narrowly clears a key Senate hurdle. Obama's trade bill. Oh, he loves that little trade bill. Oh, he loves the hell out of that little trade bill. Yes, he does. Oh, yes, he does. That's the headline. Now, here comes the story. Are you ready for this? In a triumph for President Barack Obama, sweeping legislation to strengthen the administration's hand in global trade talks advanced toward Senate passage Thursday after a showdown vote. Oh, yes, indeed. The Senate action to move forward a final vote was a big step forward. That's what Obama said. He said, it's a big step forward. That's what he said at the White House. The legislation would allow Obama to make trade deals that Congress could either support or reject, but they couldn't change it. Oh no, legislation to renew the Patriot Act is also on the calendar. Every time one of these free trade bills comes along, the American people get the shaft. Oh yes. Oh yes indeed. We get it stuck right to us. And don't think the criminals in Washington are not fully aware that they are selling us out to the globalist cause. Now, how do you like them apples? What do you think about that? Huh? You are listening to the Samsel Report. This is Wild Bill, and we are right here on Revolution Radio. And I tell you what, let's move on to our next headline. Appeals court delays transgender California inmate's surgery. That's the headline. Here comes the story. Convicted killer Michelle Norsworthy will receive the prison-funded sex change surgery before she is released. Norsworthy, 51 years old, has lived as a woman since the 1990s and was scheduled for the procedure on July 1st after a lower court judge ordered the state to provide it as soon as possible. Oh, yes. The state, however, contested the ruling, and the appellate court delayed the surgery while it considers the case. Now, the case raises serious legal questions about whether the state's resistance to the surgery violates Norsworthy's constitutional rights. We are thrilled that Michelle might soon be able to live her life freely as a woman. That's what Ilona Turner said. She's the legal director of the Oakland-based Transgender Law Center. That's what she said in a statement. She said, Michelle has suffered greatly in prison and continues to suffer every day that she is denied the surgery she so desperately and urgently needs. So, Michael desperately and urgently needs a sex change, and all at taxpayer expense. That's right. He, she, it can't find happiness without having he, she, its male apparatus removed and replaced with some sort of female receptacle down under. Oh, yes, indeed. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I tell you what. Get on in there. Get your cell phone in there. Boy, oh boy. I tell you what. Is it me? Is it me or what? I just don't understand. I tell you what. It's driving me up the wall. Okay? All right? Boy, oh man, maybe that's what I need. Maybe that's what's wrong with my life, huh? Maybe I should have me a sex change operation, turn myself into a female. How about that, huh? Do you think that would change my life? Do you think that would make a difference in my existence on this time continuum here, huh? I tell you what. What is it, me, ladies and gentlemen? Is it me or what? Am I just losing it or what here? Huh? Look out. It's coming at you, baby. Look out, okay? All right? Just look the hell out, okay? I tell you what. Man, oh man.
Free your mind. And your ex will follow.
Man, oh man, how do you like them apples?
You're right with Wild Bill's Freedom Posse.
That's right, you're riding with the Freedom Posse right here on Revolution Radio. Okay? All right. I tell you what, we got a break coming up here. Oh yes, you know, I can tell these things. Oh yeah, I can tell when there's a break coming up. Oh yes, because it tells me right there in the corner of the screen, it tells me that we are about ready to have us a break. And then we will return with more headlines that will blow your mind. Oh, yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Samsel Report right here on Revolution Radio.
Madison Avenue mentality. Look out, it's gonna get ya, man, it's gonna get ya. It's gonna get ya, oh no, gonna get ya, oh no. Madison Avenue mentality.
Oh man, look out.
Free your mind. And your ex will follow.
Man, oh man, oh man. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got Lassie in the studio. Oh yes. What is that, girl? What are you talking about? What is it? That's right. Oh, yes, indeed. We got Hillary news coming up. We got news about Hillary Clinton coming up. Oh, yes. That's right. We got Hillary Clinton news. That's right. So stick around. We're going to get to some Hillary Clinton news. Okay? All right. Our next headline. Irish voters back gay marriage in social revolution. Oh, yes, indeed, you heard right. This comes out of Dublin. It comes out of Reuters. Okay. That's the headline. Here's the story. The people of Ireland backed same-sex marriage by a landslide in a referendum that marked a dramatic social shift in a traditionally Catholic country. 62% of voters said yes, making Ireland the first country to adopt same-sex marriage via a popular vote. They cheered with joy as the final tally was announced, and then they burst into a rendition of the national anthem of Ireland. Government ministers waved a rainbow flag from the stage in front of the crowd, and one lesbian senator proposed to her partner live on national television. The answer is yes to their future. Yes to their love. Yes to equal marriage. That yes is heard loudly across the world as a sound of pioneering leadership from our people. Now, that's what Prime Minister Edna Kenny told a news conference. This is getting completely out of hand here, ladies and gentlemen. It's the globalist governments and their captive media that are driving this whole thing. Oh yes, they openly promote it in movies, music, and television. It's okay. It's all right. It's acceptable. Hell, the way the media pushes it, you'd think it was preferable. I notice it more and more lately. Oh yes, I do. Especially in the United Kingdom. Now, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. Oh yes, I've been watching Doctor Who for years. Never before has the show promoted homosexuality and integrated couples. There's not only gay, lesbian, and bisexuals running around all over the place, but it seems interracial couples are everywhere. And that's quite acceptable, too. Okay. You ever watch Torchwood? Have you watched Torchwood? Well, the main character is a bisexual, and he runs around hitting on practically everybody he meets. He even hit on the doctor. That's right. He hit on Doctor Who. That's right. And the American media is just as bad. If you can't see the messages and the social programming that the media is engaged in, then the media is accomplishing its goals. Oh yes. Within a few decades, homosexuality will become a norm, thus accomplishing the globalist goal of population reduction. That's right. Also, promoting interracial mixing can and will, over time, blur the lines between the races of humanity. Oh yes. Ultimately, the worker drones will service the elite masters, and you'll have to apply and pay for a license to reproduce conventionally. Well, that's where we are being led, people. Now, men were not designed to have sex with other men, okay? All right? Women were not designed to have sex with other women. But hey, who the hell cares? Who cares? It's the latest thing. It's cool. It's fun. It's acceptable. Right? Am I right? And if I'd have known things would go that way 30 years ago, I would have become a proctologist. Oh, yes, I would have become a proctologist. Because we're going to need those proctologists in the future. Oh, yes, indeed. How do you like that? What do you think about that? Huh? Huh? All right, here's our next headline. The streets are calm after 71 people are arrested in Cleveland protests. That's the headline. Here comes the story, okay? The streets returned to calm Sunday after police arrested dozens of demonstrators overnight when protests grew increasingly aggressive in the wake of a patrolman's acquittal in the deaths of 2 unarmed black suspects. In total, 71 people were arrested, including several who turned their anger towards bystanders in downtown Cleveland. The anxious city now awaits a decision on criminal charges against a white officer in the fatal shooting of a black 12-year-old boy who had a pellet gun. Now, they blew this kid away because he had a pellet gun. He had a BB gun, and they blew this freaking kid the hell away. Oh, yes. First it was Ferguson, then Baltimore, and now in Cleveland. And it's the cops' fault. That's what happens when you militarize the police force. We no longer have a servant protect police force. We have a military occupation force, and it will continue to get worse. Oh, yes. And in a related story, let me check out this related story. Paid protesters in Ferguson are now protesting not getting paid. That's the story. Here comes the headline. Check this out. Paid protesters in Ferguson are now protesting not getting paid. Hired protesters have started a sit-in at the offices for the Association of Community Organizations for Reform Now, ACORN, after the group allegedly stopped paying them. Okay, ACORN stopped paying the protesters, so they freaked out, and now they're protesting not being paid by ACORN. Okay? Front Page Magazine reports that Missourians Organizing for Reform and Empowerment, M-O-R-E, they got paid $5,000 a month to demonstrate in Ferguson. Last week, hired protesters who haven't been paid held a sit-in at Moore's offices and posted a demand letter online. Oh, yes, they did. Moore, M-O-R-E, is the rebranded Missouri branch of ACORN. Moore and other groups supporting the Black Lives Matter movement have received millions of dollars from billionaire financier George Soros. He spent $500 million to stir up the scheist and create racial tension, and he doesn't have to answer to anybody for doing so. If it were up to me, I'd nail Soros to a telephone pole by his testicles. Oh, yes. It's no more or less than what he deserves. What do you think about that? Stand him up against a wall and let him have it! Give it to him! George Soros! George Soros! You dirty, rotten scumbag! I tell you what, George Soros, you dirty, rotten creep! What is it, me or what? I'd stand that guy up against a wall and I'd let him have it. But, oh, that's right. George Soros. Okay? All right? Okay? Let's move on to our next headline. Okay, our next headline. Our defense chief, Ash Carter, had this to say. The Islamic State group's takeover of the provincial capital of Ramadi is stark evidence that Iraqi forces lack the will to fight. That's what the Defense Secretary Ash Carter had to say. Oh yes. Although Iraqi soldiers vastly outnumbered their opposition in the capital of Anbar province, they quickly withdrew last Sunday without putting much of a resistance. That's right. The Iraqis left behind large numbers of U.S.-supplied vehicles and weapons, including several tanks, now presumed to be in Islamic State hands. Oh, yes, indeed. What apparently happened is the Iraqi forces just showed no will to fight. That's what Carter said. He said they vastly outnumbered the opposing force. Now that says to me, and I think to most of us, that we have an issue with the will of the Iraqis to fight ISIS and defend themselves. Well, the White House declined to comment. Oh, yes. So there you have it. After spending a decade trying to train these idiots, they still couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. Why, it would be easier to train an army of monkeys. Why, a troop of Boy Scouts would be more effective. How long does it take to train an American soldier? Well, let's just say 4 months to a year, okay? And then we send them out to kick ass. Oh, yes. Not the Iraqis, though. It takes them over a decade to train. Oh, yes. And then they aren't worth shite. It's amazing. And now Obama wants to go back. He wants to go back in there to defend and train them. Unbelievable, is it not? Is it not unbelievable? We're all over the place tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are all over the place tonight. Here's our next headline. 21 U.S. cities have outlawed feeding the hungry. Oh, yes. In all, 31 American cities have tried various methods of discouraging or prohibiting individuals or organizations from sharing food with their homeless populations. Oh, yes. Since January 2013, according to a survey released on Monday by the National Coalition for the Homeless. So there you go. Do not feed the homeless. Oh, yes. We certainly don't want them roaming around on the streets. Because you know what? They are an eyesore to productive citizens and tourists alike. We don't want to look at them. So, 21 cities have banned feeding them. There now. That ought to take care of the situation. Everybody go back to sleep and forget about it. You're listening to the Samsel Report. Right here on Revolution Radio. Okay?
You are listening to the Samsel Report.
Right here on Revolution Radio. And as David Bowie has to say, this is not America anymore. Okay? All right. Let's go to our next headline and see what we got going on here. A new trend in hip-hop music. Popular rapper Kevin Gates publicly admits to being a Satanist. Okay? That's rapper Kevin Gates. He says he serves the devil. Oh, yes, he does. How do you like them apples? Take a gander at this guy. I checked him out on the internet. He's got tattoos all over his face and body. He's got pins in his lips and pins in his ears and eyes. And what a piece of work! This guy influences his mindless fans and spreads his bullshit all over the country. I tell you what, that's popular rapper Kevin Gates. He serves the devil. Oh, yes, he does. And he looks like it, too. Let me tell you something. Okay? Okay? I tell you what, here's another. You're not going to believe this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Pete Townsend. Okay, Pete Townsend. Do you remember The Who? Do you remember Tommy? Huh? Do you remember Tommy? I don't know how many times I tripped out to Tommy. Oh, man. Well, Pete Townsend put on the sex offenders register. Oh, yes, he was. Yes, he was. The rock star Pete Townsend was yesterday cautioned by police and placed on the sex offenders register for 5 years following his admission that he accessed child pornography on the internet. Now, Townsend, who is 57 years old, received the caution at Kingston Police Station in southwest London for accessing a website containing child abuse images. Oh yes, Pete Townsend, Tommy, The Who. Yes, indeed. That's right. Attaboy, Pete. That's the way to go, baby. Pete Townsend. That's right. That's right. Child pornography, you dirty scumbag, you. Boy, oh boy. And the lead vocalist, they did a concert. They did a concert, and the lead vocalist, boy, oh boy. And the lead vocalist, they did a concert. They did a concert, and the lead vocalist, right? He got upset because he smelled pot in the audience. He wanted to stop the concert because he smelled pot in the audience. Roger Daltrey. He wanted to end the concert because somebody in the front row was smoking a joint. Now, when have you ever gone to a concert and not smelled pot smoke coming from the audience? Huh? When have you ever been to a concert and not smelled pot? Okay? All right? Pete Townsend. Roger Daltrey. Boy, oh boy. Our next headline. Police state government to start surveilling your poo in real time. Oh yes, they are going to surveil your poo-poo in real time for illicit drug use. Okay? RFID readers in toilet bowls will upload urine composition to the feds. Do you believe this? Huh? Huh? The runaway surveillance state in America has just taken a leap into the gutter. That's right. Or the sewer. Or the sewer. Actually, government goons are running their fraudulent war on drugs. They have begun to monitor raw sewage for traces of illicit drug use. Do you believe this? Huh? This will help law enforcement monitor whether anti-drug measures are working or not. So they are going to start monitoring what we do in the toilet. Okay? All right? Soon, toilets will have sensors in them to notify the authorities if they detect drugs in your pee-pee or your poo-poo. Oh, yes. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, what'll they think of next? Huh? Huh? Isn't it great to live in a free country like America? Isn't it great to be an American today, ladies and gentlemen? And you're gonna put up with it, too. You're gonna put up with it, too. Because 90% of the American people ain't got a clue. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I tell you what, I just can't believe this crap anymore. I tell you what, it's unbelievable. And we have a phone call. We have somebody calling into the program. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am, Wild Bill. We're listening to you here on Revolution Radio. What are they doing? What are they thinking? How can they get in there with our crap and monitor what's coming out? That's just, we're living in a Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, indeed. Boy, oh, boy, I tell you, it's enough to drive you out of your mind. What do you think about all this? Am I right or what?
You are so right, Wild Bill. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
It's enough to drive you out of your mind. I can't believe this stuff.
It's driving us crazy. I don't know, man. We're living in a Twilight Zone. Crazy. Wild Bill, thank you for just keeping us sane, though, man, because we need to get the weekend, wrap up of what's going on in the headlines, because you're the last guy around here that can keep us sane, because it's crazy out there. It's crazy out there. It's just, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
It is in total insanity out there. I mean, this is not the America I grew up in. This America is totally foreign to me. What about you?
It is. It's not the same, man. There's no more corn on the cob with butter. It's all like weaponized now. Everything's changed, Wild Bill. It's not the same, man. It's not the same anymore.
Do you keep up on all this stuff? Do you check this stuff out every day?
I like to keep an eye on things here and there. I listen. I'm really glad that I got a Sunday wrap-up report, though, because, I got to work during the week, and I can't always get to the radio, but when I tune into Revolution Radio and I get to hear Wild Bill's report, it really gets me up to speed with everything that's going on, Bill. So thank you for just doing what you do.
All right. And other people listening into the program, they know what's going on out there.
What's going to happen, Bill? They're going to give us a new president? They're going to give us your friend Hillary, right? You like her, don't you?
They're going to give us Hillary Clinton. That's what they're going to give us. They're going to give us Hillary freaking Clinton.
She was in the White House there in '92, and the Queen, the Queen gave her the old, thumbs up, man. That's a done deal. You can take that one to the bank, unfortunately.
Oh man, we're going to wind up with Hillary. Oh my God. We're going to wind up with Hillary, I'm telling you.
You're right. She's been in there for 8 years. I'm going to call it Billery. It's going to be kind of Billery.
All right. God bless you. Thanks for listening in, and thanks for being a part of the program.
Yeah, Wild Bill, you're awesome, my friend. You really bring a smile to us on a Sunday, and that's just something that you do, and we appreciate you.
All right. There you go. There you go. There you have it. Well, God bless you, caller. You take care of yourself. You be good, okay? Let's go to our next headline. Let's check this next headline out here, okay? All right? Obama's plan for the 2016 elections. First of all, the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, sent letters to all 9 million green card holders urging them to naturalize prior to the 2016 election. Then, the second part is granting voting rights for illegal immigrants given amnesty. Oh yes, you heard right. Obama has a plan to quickly import more than 500,000 refugees from the Middle East. Their strategy is to seed our communities with at least 70,000 refugees a year, including Iraqis, Burmese, Bhutanese, Somalis, Cubans, Syrians, and others. And the numbers of Syrians, mostly Muslim Syrians, will surpass them all. I mean, look out, okay? Because they are flooding the country with foreign nationals. Oh, yes, indeed. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. What do you think about them apples, huh? Huh? I'm going to flush that one right down the old toilet bowl where it belongs. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. Woo, doggies. There we go. There we go. There you have it. And unfortunately, we're out of time. We are out of time, so it's about time for me to be going.
Hello, I must be going. I cannot stay, I came to say I must be going. I'm glad I came, but just the same I must be going.
For I said you must stay, for if you go away, you'll spoil this party.
I'll stay a week or two. I'll stay the summer through. But I am telling you, I must be going.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. It's time for Wild Bill to hit the trail. Okay? But I tell you what, come back next week, because next week we're going to have a show that will blow your mind. Okay? I promise you, we will have a show that you will never in your entire lifetime forget. Okay? That's next week right here on the Samsel Report. Right now, I am sensing psychically that there is the end of the program. Oh, my God!
Free your mind.
right, and no truer words have ever been spoken. Bye-bye. I love you guys out there. Take care. I'll see you next week.
Madison Avenue mentality. Look out, it's gonna get ya. Man is gonna get ya. He's gonna get ya. Oh no, gonna get ya. Oh no. Madison Avenue mentality. I think of you before I do anything that I've come to do. Can't take the strain, can't dig it, brain drain. I got to get some new shoes. I'm hearing lies and treason high, and a big guy selling views. They say to buy 'cause the economy's right. You're the next one to get to choose. Come on, baby, let's get the horse and go back off to the setting sun. Before they come with their helmets and guns to teach each other's right from wrong. Academic, believe in loose speak and all the bull they're told. They get better and they get better as they grow old. So all the long shots are closer than anybody seems to think. Hey bartender, please, I'm down on my knees. Please fill me with drink. Madison Avenue mentality, gonna get underneath your skin. Madison Avenue mentality, gonna change the shape you're in. Madison Avenue mentality, gonna turn your brain to ooze. In mentality, Madison Avenue, run with your choose. I said, Madison Avenue mentality, gonna get you, gonna get you, gonna get you. Madison Avenue mentality, Madison Avenue mentality.